Okay, in this video we are going to move a site hosted externally over to CloudAccess. It's a WordPress site. We're moving the whole thing. We don't have to worry about email or anything, but in this video I'm going to actually show you all the steps we take to do the entire thing. So we're going to do that. So it could be long. We'll see how long it takes me. I'm sure I'll run into issues. You usually run into something, so I will go ahead and start. So first thing we want to do is generate kind of a file that contains everything from the entire website. So let's go to our website. In this case, we're moving Momentum Design Group. I'm already logged in. And normally what we like to do is use the duplicator plugin, which it looks like we already have installed. I want to make sure it's updated. It's not, but we'll update it now. Now this client is hosted on GoDaddy. I think their hosting is fairly old. So we could run into some PHP issues. We'll see what happens, but hopefully we will be just fine. I'm just looking through here at the plugins too. I see this backup WordPress plugin, which is one we use a lot. That's going to have a big backup folder. So in Duplicator, we're going to make sure that we don't include that in the file that we generate in the zip. Otherwise, it'll just take forever. / not work. Okay. All right, let's go to Duplicator. And we're going to click Create New, and it'll start, it'll give us some settings here. By default, I'm just going to click Next, and what this is going to do is going to check the whole site. It'll see what the total size of our zip file will be given the current settings, and we're probably going to need to go back. 3 gigs is huge, and I think I know why. It's most likely this. We've got this here, the backup folder, so that's what backup WordPress creates. So actually this is a new interface here in Duplicator, so this is new. So you can check, it looks like I can do that. And just check the filter and have it rescan. Let's try that. So it's still 1.1 gig, that's pretty big. They even give you that warning, compressing larger sites on some budget hosts may cause timeouts. So what we're going to do is we're going to try it anyway. This is pretty big, and with their bad host, it's likely that it won't work, but we're going to try it anyway. So what you're going to do is click Yes to continue, assuming there's nothing else huge in here. I think in these uploads, what we're looking at is just a lot of big image files in this particular case. Nothing we can do about that. If we can't get it to work, we're going to have to use FTP to manually download the entire WP content folder, basically, or at least the uploads. And then what you do is you manually upload those to the new server. So we're just going to click Yes. We're going to click Build, and I'm going to let this run for a bit. I would say if this is going to work, it probably will take actually 5 minutes or something, possibly. So we'll see. Or we could get an error pretty early. We'll see. Anyway, so over here in CloudAccess, what we're going to want to do is set up our new product. Because I don't think I have anything set up for that. I'm going to double check, but I don't think I've set it up yet. So we're going to do new product. In the full page site, of course, WordPress. Use existing domain. We're going to drop their domain name in there. Step. I always do the monthly because it's the same price per month, so I don't really know why they don't make it cheaper. But looks good. We're going to check out. I'm going to go on the other tab since this is a video to actually enter in the credit card info that I have here. And then you click Complete Order. So I did that off tab. I'm just waiting for the page to refresh. Note that this can sometimes take a while. I don't know why, but I think it's actually generating the entire instance while you're doing that. Okay, so it's all good to go. Your order is complete, and so it should still be there. Now be there. So if we go to the Cloud Control Panel, we should now see our new site, MDG Architects. So it's all there. So that one's all set. So we'll get ready with that. So as you can see, it's still building this package. So we may want to just pause this for a moment, and we'll see if this works. Okay, so it finished, but it didn't successfully complete. So, and that it probably did take 5 minutes. So I'm going to click try again. The reason for this, basically what can happen is it can get pretty far along in the process and then fail for whatever reason, maybe a timeout. But it will often pick up where it left off the second time. And so one thing you can do in a new tab here, if you click duplicator, you can take a look at your packages. So it's this one, it says it got to 87 meg, which is not really promising. That makes me feel like it's not even going to be close if we try again. If this were closer to the estimated size of the final file, say, if it were at least 500 meg, I would say there's a very good chance that if we try again, it will work. But in this case, I'm not so sure. I'm going to go ahead and I will try again, and we'll see if this gets any bigger. It might not, though, so let's try to retry. Let's take a double check here. So that's hiding the backups. So it'll scan again. Results should be the same as they were the first time. Yep, it all looks good. We may even want to just consider. That's what we'll try later. But first, we're going to try it one more time. We'll see how that goes. But we'll probably end up just using FTP. So we'll just hit build, and now we wait. Okay, so it failed again, and we can go ahead and take a look at the packages again. Let's see if it got any bigger. Did it actually get smaller? Let's see. It actually got smaller that time, so I would say this is never going to complete as is. So what I've actually started already doing, I downloaded all of the uploads files from the old server. So I've already done that, and I've started uploading them to the new one. Just in case you didn't know, if you need the FTP information of a site at CloudAccess, you just go to Manage. And then I believe it's server, and then FTP SSH. I don't want to show you because you'd see some of the stuff in there, but it's easy from there. So in this case, since almost everything is in the uploads folders, which is often the case, we can just do that one folder. Anyway, so what do we do now? We're going to go ahead and try again, but we're going to obviously change what we're including. So one thing you can do, just go to the whole line here. I think you click WP Uploads. It'll automatically populate the correct folder for that. So let's try next now. So we'll scan the site again, and we're down to 82 meg. So as you can see, that was in fact the vast majority of the site size. So let's go ahead and click Build now, and we're going to try this again. So it failed again, which is somewhat frustrating. So we'll see what we can do here. I'd say one thing we can try is deleting these other packages. Who knows? There could be an issue there. Could be running out of disk space or something. So let's go ahead and delete those, and then let's try it one more time without doing anything else. It's going a little faster now that we're not doing the uploads folder. So let's go ahead and do that. Next. Okay. And so we'll let that go. And aren't we lucky? It completed. So we should be all set here. All you do now, you're going to download these. You want both the installer and the archive. You're going to be uploading those to the root folder of the site at the new location. So I'm going to because I'm doing this off screen, but I'm going to just copy files over to my local site here and just go ahead and upload those. I could just upload the uploads folder. That should work well because I already have it open. So as you can see, I did those uploads, and now I'm just going to upload these. You can usually do it via the File Explorer here. You don't have to, but you can. So if it past a certain point, it's less reliable, so I wouldn't use it for anything more than 100, maybe 200 meg. So let's see, where are we at with these? Of course, Dreamweaver has the worst upload progress bar. Okay, so it looks like those completed. So now what we're going to want to do, we're going to have to basically set this up, so that can be kind of tricky since the site is not live at that location. There is something that we have to do. We have to work with the hosts file and basically point our local DNS to the new server. So first, let's go ahead and get that IP address. As for actually working with the host file, you can just Google how to do it. It's different for every operating system. So here's our IP address. In my case, on Windows 10, I have to use Notepad. WordPad is actually what I use. So I use WordPad. You have to run it as an admin to actually be able to change this file, which is stupid. It's the only one I use WordPad for. So you have to find the location of this host file, but it'll look like this. That's just for me. Anyway, so what you do is you put the IP address and then the domain name. So in our case, it's, I believe, mdgarchitects.com. I like to also include the www just in case. Without that, you'll sometimes run into problems. Architects. Okay, looks good. Save that a couple times. Let's see, where are we? Okay. And obviously it already worked. Normally you're going to need to, I like to do Control F5 twice in Chrome, and that will just clear it out enough that it'll go to the new location. But obviously it worked on its own here because it's already asking to log in. So let's check out. So as you can see, this is just the default CloudAccess site. Well, actually, it's the default WordPress, really. Anyway, so to actually install our file, we uploaded it to the root. We're going to navigate to the installer file, which is called installer.php. So just go right to that. Confirm all this. Oh, that's right. It's warning us right now because we need to delete the current WP config file. You can't have an existing one. I don't know if that's a safety thing. Actually, let's see what happens. Because it used to not let you do it at all, but it looks like it might let me. I suppose it's just a warning then. I don't know. Let's see what happens if I just do it. Oh, no, it won't let me. So we just have to delete that. I like to do that via this, but you could obviously use your FTP client, so WP config. Actually, one thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to save the info for your database first. Actually, where is it even? Sorry, they changed the interface for this very recently, and so I'm not quite sure about how all of it works. Anyway, you're going to want to open up a page where you're looking at the database before you delete the WP config file. So actually, I'm going to have to do this off screen because the information will be in there. So let's see, it's an application, and then database is where you find that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and delete this WP config file. So again, File Explorer, HTTP docs, and then the WP config. Again, make sure you're on the right site. Obviously, that's important. You could do some damage to other sites. Okay, so it's gone. So let's go ahead and try this again. But we haven't specified the database yet. You used to do that in step 1, so I'm not sure. Not really sure what it's doing right now. Okay, so I guess then it asks you about the database. All right, so I'm going to enter in the info here. Again, I'm going to do this off screen because I don't want you seeing it in a public video here. But you will set it to connect and remove all data. I believe the database and user are both the same in CloudAccess. Let's see here. Host name with CloudAccess is just DB, so make sure you do that. Okay, so then you click test database, and in this case it did work. It should be all you need to do. Then you're just going to click next. Okay, so I have it installing here. Okay, and this is an important part. It should all be automated. It knows what the old path was because of our installer file, and it's installing the new path, which is important. So obviously the URL hasn't changed in this case, so that should be nice and easy. And then you click next. Okay, so all of this looks like it has worked well. Do a site login and test it out. Chrome is sometimes dumb. Makes you think it filled out the password, but it didn't. Okay, so it's looking good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front end as well. Everything looks good. Ideally, you would do a a relatively full test just to make sure everything's working, because you don't want to move it over otherwise. Everything looks correct. Okay. They will notice you need to remove the installation files. It tells you to do that. I guess we're already on the page. Oh, so I think it just did it. And that's just deleting those, the archive that's sitting there, because anybody could, in theory, access that. That's not what you want. So those are good now, and we should be all set, really. I think that'll be all we need. So there are some final things we need to do besides just pointing the DNS to our new location. It's obviously important. And I did mention earlier, this is only a change for the website. We're not doing any email change here, which is sometimes accompanied with it. So, but for now, one thing we'll want to do, so if we go back here, let's see, we go to database. We're going to want to change the prefix here, because when we moved it over, it's not the same as what we're getting here. So actually, I'm going to click login so we can see what the new one is. Oh, they actually might have fixed that issue, because it's LNZ underscore. It looks like they all have them. Okay, I think they fixed that. I actually requested that feature from CloudAccess, and I guess they added it. Awesome. So never mind, ignore that part. You won't need to do anything to the database. It all worked itself out, and the site is working. So assuming that you've tested this all and it all looks good, we're now going to want to actually make it live, and for that, it's a DNS change. And just so you can kind of see, so I have this site here. It's what'smydns.net. Like, you go here, you can enter in a URL and get the A host record. If you don't know anything about DNS, this is basically this is where the site is currently located as far as it can tell. So it actually checks a bunch of servers across the world and tells you what they return. In this case, it's all the same. It's going to be their old IP address since we haven't changed it yet. I'm curious to see too. This is a IPv6 address. These are the new ones. Some sites will have these set up already. It looks like this one does not, so we don't have to worry about that. So you'd have to change both if they both existed, but in this case, it's just the one. So I like to have this here because we're going to check later and see as it changes. So in their case, they have a GoDaddy account, which they've shared with my GoDaddy account. So You may or may not ever be doing this part, so you may be done at this point and just letting me know that I need to go change this because it's not hard to do. Anyway, so I'm going to my Pro dashboard because where I have some accounts in here. And this client, gotta wait for it to load. This client is Momentum Design Group. So it's here. I'm going to do login as client. And in this case, it's the mdgarchitects.com. So go to the DNS. And the record that we're looking for is just this main record here. That's just the @ or a or host record. That's the main one. There shouldn't be anything else we need to change right now. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to click edit. Ideally, you keep track of this somewhere, but it's easy to find later if you needed it. And we need our IP address again. Actually, I'm just going to go to our host file where we've got this saved. That's our address. Put it there, click save. And it is now done. So that's all you would need to do. The site, in theory, should start becoming live now. It takes time to propagate that new record across the web, so we might not see that for a little while. What you can do, if you just click search again, it's probably not even going to research. That's all cache. That's why it's so fast. So I like to just go incognito. That, since it's GoDaddy, I expect it to change pretty quick. So as you can see, I haven't paused or anything, but you can see that it's already starting to move along here. You can see about half of them are one thing, half are the other. Whereas before they were all the old one. And I would honestly expect this to take probably 3 minutes or something. GoDaddy tends to be pretty quick about it. Some hosts, DNS hosts, will take 24 hours or more. The maximum is 48, but hopefully you'll never encounter that. But most of the time it'll be this fast. CloudAccess is even faster than GoDaddy. I find it usually takes 30 seconds maybe. So we can try again, just because I'm curious. And it's still coming along a little bit further than it was before, but it'll take some time. But anyway, so at this point, we would obviously let the client know it will be transitioning, and this should be all set soon. I like to have my clients set up with this is the monitoring tool that we use, and I did set them up before we moved because I wanted to see how the performance changed, because their old server was really slow. So I'm curious to see how much faster it goes now that we've moved it over. So I expect this to drop quite a bit soon here. But in the meantime, I mean, the site, I mean, I can already tell it's faster than it was for sure. I mean, any of these screens would have taken quite a while before. So anyway, so they should be all set. And then that should conclude this tutorial, I think.